Hello there, fellow gamers. My name is Ashes, and I welcome you all to the channel. Today we are reading Stranger Things, Darkness on the Edge of Town. We are once again reading in the van, and we're going to be continuing from where we were last video. So, again, this is going to be a black screen. You're not going to see anything, you're only going to hear me and the book. The page is turning. You can hear me reading. Hopefully it's going to be nice, relaxing for you. So let's get started. I'm going to take the cover off the book. I don't like reading with the front cover on it, sort of. I'm always afraid I'm going to crease it up while I'm holding it. I mean, this one is quite creased up, to be honest. I've not looked after this book. Well, the cover, the book itself is great, but the cover I've not looked after. So, right, let's see where we are up to. Okay, so we're on chapter 6, and this is Plan of Attack. So, let's get started. Chapter 6, Plan of Attack. July 5th, 1977. Brooklyn, New York. All news all the time. This is WINS. You give us 22 minutes, and we'll give you the world. Hopper sank back behind the wheel of a precinct's bill car and turned the radio down as the tiny saxophone music of the 1010 WINS news break filled the vehicle's interior. The car was a huge white Pontiac Catalina that might have been a nice ride when new, but now rocked and rolled on worn shocks like a boat in a stormy sea. Thanks to the budget-saving increase in the intervals between services. It was, however, still relatively comfortable, especially for someone as tall as Hopper. And after an hour of waiting in the underground parking garage, angled low in the driver's seat, he was grateful for what lower back support the seat still offered. Good evening. It's 75 degrees at 7 o'clock. I'm Stan Z. Burns, and here's what's happening. Mayor Beam urges talks resume between the city and unions, but he says unions have to give in a bit. The underground garage occupied 2 levels underneath the 65th, and the Pontiac was on the lower level, right in the back. The interior in perpetual shade thanks to the unfortunate angles of the garage lighting. Perhaps he was overdoing it, but the pool of vehicles was in regular use by the precinct, and the fewer officers who saw him, the better. If things got difficult later, he didn't want anyone else forced to admit they'd seen him and Delgado down in the garage on the night Special Agent Scullop had taken the card homicide case off him, or thought he had. The garage was at least relatively cool, certainly compared to the city streets above, if the radio was anything to go by. Hopper kept the windows rolled down, not just to keep the temperature comfortable, but so he could hear as well as see everything that happened in the garage. He just hoped she came soon. He hadn't called Diane to let her know he'd be late. It was a common enough occurrence that he knew she wouldn't be worried, but he hated the fact that this time at least his lack of communication was deliberate. Delgado appeared a few minutes later, walking down the main ramp that led to the upper level of the garage. She paused at the bottom, scanning the cars. Hopper turned the key to start the battery and flicked the lights once. She headed toward him and got in on the passenger side. "This is crazy," she said. "Call it caution. Call it paranoia." She turned toward him, then glanced down at the radio and found before reaching for the knob and turning it off. Hopper smirked. "You didn't like Stan Z. Burns?" "I prefer Mellow 92 myself, but look, when I said to meet later, I didn't expect the cloak and dagger routine." Hopper's smile vanished as he leaned in toward his partner. "Hey, I'm on your side, but I think we need to be careful. We go where we're going. I get the feeling it's a one-way trip. We will win or we will lose. And losing will be bad. So, yes, I'm taking precautions." Delgado looked at him. She was an experienced cop, but still a new detective. One apparently willing to bend the rules of her job if the greater good demanded it. So, here they were, hiding in a pool car, disobeying direct orders. Because they were not going to give up the case so easily. Back in the coffee room, Hopper had listened to Delgado as she explained her plan. At first, a tiny seed of doubt began to grow in his mind, but as she continued, he saw the commitment in her face and heard the determination in her words, and quickly dismissed his fears. Because she had been right, he had listened as she talked about how they had a job to do, a city to protect, how this was their neighbourhood, and there were people depending on them. And they couldn't just let the case go. That they had a duty to protect the people they'd sworn to protect, and how Gollop had no right to take the case off them. And he had agreed. He had listened, and he had taken it in. It was a crazy idea, but it was a good one. One that Hopper knew, there and then, that they had to enact. A few minutes later, they returned to the bullpen and, well, Hopper had started a fight. He had walked up to Gollop, gotten in the man's face and started yelling. His outburst had the desired effect. The other agents and detectives gathered around, and Lord Wagner had rushed out of his office to intervene. Behind them all, Hopper saw Delgado slip into the captain's office. A few moments later, she was out again. She gave him a nod, and Hopper made a show of giving up his arguments. Before getting back to work, Captain Wagner had given Hopper an earful of his home. Hopper gave his apology, a genuine one at that, and life went on in the 65th. Hopper buried himself in another case, and he and Delgado spent the rest of the shift avoiding each other. That was part of the plan too. Hopper's outburst was a bad example to set for his junior partner, so it was reasonable to assume they would both be embarrassed by it, and give each other some space for the rest of the day, which they did, save for a brief hallway encounter in which Hopper gave his partner the time and place for their secret rendezvous. "Anyway, sorry I'm late," said Delgado. "I had to finish some stuff off, but mission accomplished." She opened her bag and pulled out the thin file belonging to Jacob Holler, the same file that was supposed to be sitting pretty inside the folder of Captain Lavagner's desk. "And before you say, yes, I saw it too." Hopper took the file and flipped over the top page. On the back, swimming in the sea of black lines, was the second address. "Dykeman Street," said Hopper. "A building and apartment number, but no cross street or zip code." Delgado nodded and opened the car's glove compartments. From within, she extracted a greasy spiral-bound street atlas. Flipping to the index, she found at the page before reaching up and turning the car's inside light on. Now able to see, she traced a finger down the densely printed list of street names before finding the avenue in question. Turning back through the pages, she found the area in question. "Only one, Dykeman Street, so this must be it." She tapped the page. Hopper took the book and squinted at it. "So, what do you want to do?" asked Delgado. "Check it out?" Hopper nodded. "Yeah, I think we should." Then he looked at his partner. "Are you sure you're okay with this? There's still time to pull out and deny everything." Delgado shook her head. "I wouldn't have suggested a stunt like this in the first place if I wasn't okay with it. I don't like it when agents, special or otherwise, mess with my stuff. And I certainly didn't fight to become a homicide detective for my first case to be taken off me just like that." "You know what could happen to us if we're caught, right?" asked Hopper, although he agreed with his partner's plan of action. He was still the senior detective, and he felt obliged to point out the reality of the situation they were about to enter, whether she wanted to hear it or not. "We screw this up, you won't be a homicide detective much longer. There's a lot riding on what happens next, and..." Delgado held up her hand. "Trust me, I get it, but we have work to do, and we're going to do it." She adjusted her position in the seat to better face Hopper. "So, let me ask, are you in?" Hopper grinned. "Oh, I'm in, detective." "Okay, good," said Delgado. "So, let's go check out Dykeman Street." "Actually," said Hopper, "I want you to go back to the apartment." Delgado's brow knitted in confusion. "The crime scene apartment?" "Yes. I want you to go in and take another look. See if there is anything we missed. We know more about the victim now than we did before. Maybe you can shake something out." "Okay," said Delgado. "Meet back here later." Hopper checked the time again and winced. Actually, no, I need to get home now. He looked at his partner. You do the same. We'll talk tomorrow. Got it. Delgado clicked the door of the pool car open. Happy hunting, detective, she said, then got out, closed the door and disappeared back up the parking garage ramp. Hopper waited a few more minutes to give her some time to get clear. Then he started the car up and headed out toward Dykeman Street and the Mystery Apartments. Oh, right folks, that seems to be the end of chapter 6. Wow, we're on chapter 7 now. That was a short one. Right, okay, well, I wasn't planning on ending this video now, but I guess we'll have to see. This is in the next chapter, so I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all for watching, well, listening in this case. Do let me know if you like the video done this way in future videos, and I'll continue to do them like this. So, hope you all enjoyed. Until next time, take it easy, and I'll see you all in the next one. Hello there, fellow gamers. My name is Ashes, and I welcome you all to the channel. Today we are reading Stranger Things, Darkness on the Edge of Town. We are once again reading in the van, and we're going to be continuing from where we were last video. So, again, this is going to be a black screen. You're not going to see anything, you're only going to hear me and the book, the page is turning. You can hear me reading. Hopefully it's going to be nice, relaxing for you. So let's get started. I'm going to take the cover off the book. I don't like reading with the front cover on it, sort of. I'm always afraid I'm going to crease it up while I'm holding it. I mean, this one is quite creased up, to be honest. I've not looked after this book. Well, the cover, the book itself is great, but the cover I've not looked after. So, right, let's see where we are up to. Okay, so we're on chapter 6, and this is Plan of Attack. So, let's get started.